So I've just got out my car and I've arrived on the first tee. I don't want to think about a load of stuff, but I do want to hit the ball straight. And ultimately, as the round goes on, I also want to hit it a decent distance. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to bring you along this hole with me. I'm going to show you what I give my students to help them hit the ball straighter, but also gain more distance naturally by helping them to understand how to release the club through the ball. Super, super simple. And what I'll do is I'll show you with off the tee shots, fairway shots, and then just your approach shots into the green. It'll be super, super helpful. Before I get into the video, look, if you're new to the channel, so your first lessons of mine, please consider subscribing. At least videos like this every single week to try and help you improve your game. Plus, you never have to remember a thing. I'll always put a free downloadable practice guide in the description box below. So you don't want to be thinking about a lot of stuff when you're out on the golf course. This game, look at this tee shot. It's tight, it's narrow. It's difficult enough, right? So you need something simple that's going to help you hit it straight and hopefully gain an extra few yards. So let's start with the first thing that I'll get my students to kind of consider. There's two things mainly, right? So when they're over the golf ball here, most of the time, if you're struggling with your driver, you're slicing it, you're struggling with distance, what's happening is this. As you're coming through, your head is outracing your hips. You look what my hips are, look where my body is. We're basically heaving the ball with our torso, basically like this, hitting it with our torsos, leaving, look, the hips behind. What I want you to do, which is far more effortless, is the better players will set themselves up, their hips, look, are ahead of their torso here, and on the way through, look where my head is, but versus where my hips are. My hips are forward, my head is in its same position behind my hips. With the real long drive guys, you'll see them, they're almost back here with their heads. Why? Because what it enables you to do is simply complete, look, and give you the freedom to finish off the upward part of the circle. What happens, unfortunately, when your torso tries to hit the ball without realizing, look, there's no room, you're going into the ground, your elbows start to buckle, you start to flick, you're losing accuracy, and you're losing kind of that distance. So the first thing I get my players to do before they hit the shot is get themselves set up here, push their hips forward, and simply make some swings where their head stays on the ball while the hips, look, are forward of the ball. There. No, and I'll get them to do this as well. I'll get them to feel what's wrong so they can feel that. Now suddenly, now we've got a chance. We've now got space, look, for those arms to go in. The second thing, right, nice and simple, I'll show you how we blend this all into one simple drill in a minute. The second thing they often ask is, well, Danny, now I've got that, but what happens if what do I do with the face? How do I know what I need to do with my arms? Really easy, you just get yourself set, hold the club out in front of you here, look, leaving the butt alone, just pitch that club over, look, your lead shoulder. What this does, it sits that lead shoulder down and gives you the feeling of where your 3/4 follow through position will be. Watch this. So from here, that's where I'm going to be. Now, when I'm swinging through now, that is that position there. Most people are out here, yeah? So now I know where I'm going to go to here. I've finished off, I've created room to finish off the circle. And now from here, look, I know where I'm going to on the way through. So how do we blend this into one simple release drill? All I do is to get my players to do something like this. Feel the hips are forward, make some swings like this, look, release the club. Release the club. So I get feeling that motion there, look. Head stays behind. And all we're doing is practicing, look, the release of the club. Notice I'm not trying to follow through like this. I'm releasing the club. That is it. Once you've done that, you get back into picturing the shot, picking your target out. You've got that sensation and away you go. So I'll hit driver and then I'll show you what subtle changes you make to your approach shots, your iron shots, fairway shots into the green. A little bit necky starting the first shot of the day, but you know what? It's down the fairway. Just like you, I've just stepped out of the car, a little bit stiff, but you know what? It's down the fairway and in play. Let's go and take this approach shot on. Take this approach shot on. So when you haven't warmed up and you're a bit stiff like I was there, you just want something to kind of rely on, something simple to focus on. Now that came a bit out of the neck for me, didn't go as far as I'd like, but you know what, I'm in play, and that's all we're really after in those first few holes, to find your way into the game. Now let's have a look at this. I've got 258 yards, look, to the center of the green. Now that's gonna 100% be a fairway wood, but the question is, I'm feeling stiff. Should I take it home? Well, as you're watching, and I'm sure you'd love to know how to hit fairwoods with this, the answer, of course, is yes. Risky, but yes. So what changes could you make for a fairway wood? Ultimately, we want to hit down on the golf ball. We don't have the luxury of driving the ball being teed up, so we don't want the head falling behind too much, but we definitely don't want to be doing this. We still don't want the torso to be out racing those hips because, again, there's no room. You're going to end up flicking it. We want to make sure that the head stays on the ball and the hips are slightly ahead of the head so that we've got, look here, we're able, look, to finish off this part of the arc. So yes, same principle, head stays fairly constant, and I'm gonna practice this release. So I get myself set here, feel that kind of pitching over this lead shoulder, feel how the lead elbow is almost going inwards towards my body. This is where I'm finishing here. Right, now I know that destination, I'm gonna start to practice swinging there, but not swinging there and letting my head go. I'm keeping my head, look, where the ball is and letting that release happen, all right? This is all you're doing, right? But then very important, what we're gonna do, we're gonna pick our spot, we're gonna draw our imaginary line back to the golf ball so we're lining ourselves up, and then we're gonna fully commit to that release. So let's have a look at this. Now this feels, as my second shot of the day, hitting 3-wood off the deck, feels very risky, but you know what? Let's have some fun, let's give it a crack. That's pretty good. I can't quite see because the sun is so bright, but I should be up there somewhere close. So let's have a look at what we've got for the approach shots and how you change this motion for maybe the approach shot onto the green. Hope this is helping. So just missed the green on the left-hand side. Now I've got an approach shot. Now, do we use the same technique as we've just used for the driver swing and the fairway wood swing? Absolutely not. What we've just done with those swings is help you generate power. The lower body leads the head. Why? Because what it's doing is it's getting ready, look, to provide you with energy into the club here and also, look, provide a thrust from the ground to finish off, look, this part of the arc. You don't want any of that on approaches. You don't need it. In fact, the legs act as a support mechanism for the upper body. So what we're doing with the legs, ultimately, the torso now, as opposed to being like this, they're now level, the hips are level, the torso's stacked on top of those hips. If you struggle with contact, a lot of the time it's because you start to kind of, in a sense, lose that and you start to kind of hit the ground behind the golf ball here. What we're doing with short game, they stack on top of each other, the hips are nice and level, and when we're swinging, look, the legs are adding that support mechanism to the actual upper body, and then when we swing through, the hips are staying, look, very, very level. We don't want to see too much of this going on because this is going to affect your contact. Nothing more complicated than that. So I've got a 56-degree wedge here, awkward little shot. What I'm going to do here is the ground's quite soft. I want to make sure I catch ball first. I'll move the ball like back in my stance here. It's going to be a lower flighted shot. And what I do is I get my arms, turn them inwards like this, provides me with a simple arc. Hands just opposite inside left thigh. And all I'm doing here really is visualizing a line going back to the hole, backwards and forwards. And I'm basically putting with loft. That's all I'm really doing. I'm putting with loft. So putting stroke with loft. I don't want any of this. See how muddy it is? Okay. So let's have a look at this in action. Nice and simple. Sit. Check up there. Okay, nice and simple. So putt with loft, different action to the full swing, stacked on top of one another. Should we go and finish that off? See if we make birdie? Let's go and try. So putting, not dissimilar to the chipping. We want the torso stacked on top of those hips. We don't want any of this going on. So level shoulders, level torso, and then all we're going to do here is get ourselves set up, visualize that ball, kind of again, that beautiful line going back into the hole. My arms are tucked in here, they're not out there, tucked in here, and away we go. Let's see if we can just tap this birdie in just for you guys. Simple as that. So keep it super, super simple when you're out on the golf course. I know sometimes you're rushing from the car, you're a bit stiff. Just focus on that finish position, where you want to be. I think it's a really good place to be. You don't obviously have any control over the ball once it's gone, but knowing your destination will kind of inform what you need to do on that downswing. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you like this particular style video, I've got another one where I'm out on the golf course, which is people are absolutely loving. Check this one out right here. It'll be super, super helpful. Free practice guide in the description box below. But until next week, have a wonderful golfing week.